You can advertise on National FM for as little as £1 a day. Just go to nationalfm.xyz, click the advertising link, and you'll get more information there.
It's a pretty intense single. What got you started on it?
It was an emotional response, really, to the storyline that I've been playing for the last 2 years on Coronation Street as Geoff Metcalfe. And also it was at the beginning of lockdown when cases of domestic abuse were going through the roof and women were dying and children and families were being, very deeply affected. And I sort of had all this going on in my head, and I had a little figure on the piano, and I thought, I'm gonna write a song. What am I going to write it about? Okay, I'll write it about what I'm involved in at the moment. And rather than making it about somebody who was the abuser, which I don't think would be particularly interesting or indeed appropriate, I put myself in the place of what it might be like to be a victim of domestic abuse, and that's where the song came from, really.
The video that goes with it, or the video that I saw on social media, it starts with what frankly is a shocking figure that even outside of lockdown, 4 women a day is that right? Get killed? Well,
that was it. During lockdown, the number of women being killed was more than double than it had been up to that point. Yeah,
that's so all those their partner or former partner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, genuinely, it brings a tear.
It is shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it really is shocking, and I think it was, as I say, it was the mixture of that and the storyline that I'd been involved in. It just propelled me into the song, and to be honest with you, it wrote itself. People say to me, "How hard was it?" It wasn't hard at all. It just came out. And, I spent a few days recording it in my little studio shed down the bottom of the garden. And I got it to as far as, along the road as I could. But I'm in my 60s. I have limited technological ability. So we need to do something with it. I played it to my wife and my 15-year-old daughter. And they said, "Yeah, it's great, Dad. But, it needs to be more modern. It needs to be less 70s. Let's do something, more modern with it." So we sent it to this record producer that my wife had met, rather, on the off chance that he'd give us some advice, and he actually took it on and redid it, and he kept the vocal and changed everything else, and I think he's done a spectacular job. James F. Reynolds, look him up. His track record is remarkable. He's done so much,
and it's in support of women's aid.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, after I'd written it, I thought, well, I've got to do something with this now, and I had the intention of sending it to them. If it came out in any way, all right. And they heard the original version, and they still said yes. So. From then on, we were involved, and we made the video, and we got funding from friends and family, and an organisation called the Steve Morgan Foundation, who gave us over half the money. We employed a bunch of guys called Three Wise Monkeys who came up to where we live and shot the video. And generally, all round, it was amazing because people just got behind it and got into it and supported us and gave us of their time, mostly free. It was amazing.
As I said, it's a very intense track. Does that reflect your own sort of feelings about the whole subject?
Yeah. This storyline has taken me into an area that I knew very little about, and I think it's true to say that most people know very little about it unless it's either happening to you or you are perpetrating the abuse in the first place. It's such a private thing. It all happens in the shadows, behind closed doors. We very rarely get any inkling of what's going on behind those closed doors. And I just felt, after having spent so much time doing research on the storyline and on the character with the help of Women's Aid, I just wanted to do something to help them in their battle against this terrible, terrible crime, coercive control, which leads to domestic abuse, which is a form of domestic abuse anyway, and to help them in their work, because they're very underfunded. The government needs to get more involved. We all need to get more involved as a society and as individuals, and bring it out into the light where we can see it and see it for what it is and do something about it.
I know just from having read a little bit about you that having to have had to play a part like that, Geoff Metcalfe, obviously, in Coronation Street, has taken quite a toll on you in some ways.
Yeah, it's It is my job. That's what I do, and I have played characters who are unpleasant before. But what I was for was the relentlessness of A, the schedule, and B, the storyline, and those two things put together. It was intense. It was very intense, and it was very challenging to keep hold of yourself in the midst of being so unremittingly unpleasant and vile every day to somebody who I really like. Shelley King and I get on terribly well, thankfully, and we trust each other, and we trust each other to go to those places that we needed to go to in ourselves and for the other person to actually tell this story properly with integrity and honesty, and that costs. It's not a question of it's a coat you put on. You have to take it off, and sometimes it's difficult to take it off, and you have to be prepared for that. But I'm very lucky. I have an understanding family, and I have an hour from the time I leave the studio and get home, so I listen to the radio and sort of relax in that way. So I'm lucky in that. It's been a hell of a ride, I have to say.
Beyond that, is there anything that you can actually do to kind of detach yourself from the character?
Yeah, I mean, I had some counselling sessions that were arranged by Coronation Street, because I asked them and I said, look, I need somebody to walk into a room where I can just dump all the stuff I don't want. I don't want to keep hold of all this stuff. I just have to get rid of it. So, just before lockdown started, I did a few sessions, and I got a lot of it out of my system, which was very, very helpful, because then I didn't have to carry it around with me.
Right, on to lighter things. Tell us some of the nice things about Coronation Street, having in inverted commas wrecked your life. What are some of the better things?
No, it hasn't wrecked my life at all. It's given me a fantastic three years and counting. I walked in there absolutely thrilled I was going to be on this iconic, and it is truly an iconic TV program. And on the first day, I drove up and I parked in the car park, and I looked up and I saw the sign Coronation Street, and I thought, I cannot actually believe that I am here doing this. And my first day was with Sue Nichols, who plays Audrey, and Barbara Knox, who plays Rita. Corrie royalty, I'm having to tell you, and they were so welcoming and delightful, and I felt at home pretty much straight away. And I still pinch myself on occasion that I'm still there and I'm still doing it and I'm having a great time. It's a really nice place to work. It's a great place to work. They look after us. They feed us well. They, they set up, the whole setup is extremely organized. And of course it has changed since lockdown. It's changed since the virus, but it is still friendly and open and a joy to work in. I have to say, I've had a great time.
You're a similar age to me. You just beat me by a couple of years. Do you remember back to the beginning of Coronation Street, like Albert Tatlock and Ian Sharples, all those good folk that people never have heard of?
No, that's right. In fact, I worked with an actor called Philip Lowry in the 80s in a play, and he, of course, had been in it in the early days as a young man. And no, I remember him from that, certainly. And I do remember the original Coronation Street. Yes, I am that old. But I've grown up with it. So it means a lot to me. And to be in it is a fantastic experience to have.
I don't know why this always comes back to me, but it did. There's one point where I've forgotten the name of the actor, but Albert Tatlock says he talks about the First World War, which, as you probably know, growing up as a similar age to me, people used to talk about that.
Oh yeah,
they were still around back then, and it's just incredible to me. I imagine the actor himself. He probably fought in the First World War, and there he is in Coronation Street, and you're kind of carrying on that dynasty is the word that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I think they were, that generation were our sort of grandparents, really, weren't they? I remember my grandparents talking about the war a great deal. My mum and dad were both born at the end of the First World War, so it was very much a part of my upbringing, and to be in something that has lasted so long and to have such an amazing storyline in that program is a real honour and a privilege, I must say.
Just to wrap up with, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? Well, there are several alternatives. Who knows? I mean, this
pandemic, this virus has changed working practices and certainly changed the entertainment business. And I suspect the effects of it will last for a very long time. I don't know, if I'm absolutely honest. I've never been one to plan. I go with whatever comes along. This part and the last 3 years have given me a fantastic opportunity and has given me a profile. It's given me the ability to do something like this and try and make a difference with something like this. So we'll just have to wait and see. I know my agent is furiously scrabbling around for some sort of work in the future, but we'll just have to wait and see how that all pans out, because at the moment there's very, very little being made. So, it's fingers crossed and just get on with doing the garden if nothing comes along is how I see myself at the moment.
There's always the garden. Ian, thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this for us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
And the single one more time is This Time It's Forever, and I imagine it's available to download just about everywhere.
You can get it on all the usual platforms. I mean, you can stream it and listen to it, but if you want to contribute to the coffers of Women's Aid, all the profits from the single will be going to Women's Aid to help them in their work. So yeah, get on and buy it if you can. Thank you.
And actually, if you get a chance to check out the video in social media, I do that as well. It's quite a poignant piece of work.
Yeah, it's got a lot of real survivors of domestic abuse in it, which gives it a real emotional punch at towards the end. So, it is worth a look, because it succeeds in saying what we wanted to say.
If you own your own business, how would you like to own your own radio station to go with it? Well, the radioservice.co.uk can do this for you, starting at just $39.99 a month. The one-off programs start at just $59.99. Small businesses don't feel you'll have to buy a lot of expensive equipment. You'll probably just need a Bluetooth speaker, that's it. In-house radio has a number of highly useful applications, such as improving staff and customer morale, informing customers of special offers, or simply helping everyone feel great. To find out more, go to theradioservice.co.uk and click the in-house link.